Hey, and welcome to All Things Podcasting, where we will be giving you an inside look at how to launch, grow, and manage a podcast. If you've been dreaming of starting a podcast but don't know where to start, or you have a podcast and you're looking for the best and most productive growth strategies, then this podcast is for you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to All Things Podcasting, the podcast where we talk about all things podcasting. Today, I have with me Julie Moe. She is a coach, a marketer, and she has kind of rewritten the career rulebook for moms. She has a course in a coaching program, the Gutsy Mama Project. She has helped hundreds of Gutsy mamas ditch their 9-to-5s and their mommy guilt by building a work-from-home business that let them be full-time moms, which is what I did and what a lot of you listeners out there have done. So I'm really excited to talk to Julie. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of kind of just jumping in head first and just doing the dang thing and overcoming those fears. So welcome, Julie. I'm really excited to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
If you just kind of want to tell everybody, like in your own words, what your business and your business mission are.
Sure. I mean, I have two businesses. Well, I have multiple businesses, as so many of us do. Being an entrepreneur who likes to do a lot of things, I have a few businesses. So I have a web design business, which I love, and working here mostly in and around the music industry here. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's a wonderful, fantastic thing. And then I have a coaching program and a course called the Gutsy Mama Project, where I help other moms, give them the tools they need to build, grow, and scale their own web design businesses so they can work from home. Because web design, believe it or not, is a fantastic career for moms in a lot of ways. So the Gutsy Mama Project is all about helping moms do that and helping them build a community of other moms who are sort of in the same place, and a support system. And at the same time, a job that they can do while babies are napping, and at 5 a.m. when you get up, things you can do from your phone and things like that. So the Gutsy Mom Project is really about helping moms create careers that they really love, and at the same time, jobs they really love as well, and family lives that they can be really, truly proud of.
That's so important. And I think like the world has kind of developed moms. A lot of moms have realized like the traditional 9-to-5 corporate thing is not aligned with them. We want to have it all. We want to be career women. We want to have a purpose. We want to have a way to make income, but we also want to be moms and like live our best mom life and be there for our kids. And everybody feels like they have to choose, or like I can only be a employee from 9-to-5 and then I have to switch over to my mom hat, at 5:30. And so I think that from my perspective, like coming into the online space allowed me to do both simultaneously 100%. At the same time, which is a balancing act, as life always is, right. But it has allowed me so much more freedom. And then like as I got into deciding on what path I wanted to take in the online space, it was definitely important to me to like not always have to be on calls, to be able to make my own schedule. A lot of people think, I've talked to people before, they're like, how can I get onto the online space? I've looked at like call center jobs, and they're like, I can't be on the phone all the time. And so I love that you're showing moms, you don't have to be on the phone all the time. You can work while baby naps. You can work while Paw Patrol's on in the background. It's totally up to you, and you get to write your own destiny.
And set your own boundaries so you can say, I'm available from this time to this time, and create a job where you're also well respected and provide a service to people that they really, truly need. So like I get the benefit of, really actually helping people. I get the benefit of being creative. And at the end of the day, like I get to point to something and say, I made that. That is something new and interesting that's out in the world because I did it. It's going to help someone in their business. Also, there's not a lot of like massive web design emergencies where you have to like drop everything and jump on your computer. So when you set those boundaries, like I'm available till 3 and then I'm done. Thank you.
And podcasting is kind of the same way. Like every once in a while, there will be like a glitch in hosting or whatever, and an episode won't show up, or the formatting of the show notes will be off, but it's not a huge deal. It's not like life or death. Nobody's losing money over it. Like we, just have to go in and fix it, and it takes 5 seconds and it's totally fine. Yeah. So I think that like when people are niching down, that's really important to
100%.
think about.
And I think when you're niching down too, for me, and I think this is why it's the importance of launching, so we can kind of sort of segue back into that. I think the importance of just launching is you can't get any data points until you launch. You can't figure out what's working and what's not working until you launch. And like when you first starting a web design business or really any business, a lot of, especially service-based businesses, you kind of just take whoever comes. Like you want work and you want to figure it out. And then after a while, because you have launched, because you just said, all right, I'm going to put my website out into the world. I mean, I ran my web design business with a one-page website that said like Zuby Media web design. Click here.
Right.
For like the first couple of years, right? I didn't have a massive website built. I just had something out in the universe. And because I just launched, because I did it in a not afraid way, because I just said, I want to make money, I will figure this out. I'd never built a website before. I'm going to do this. Because I just launched, now I've niched into and get to work with clients that I really love because I have the data points of being able to reverse engineer where those clients came from, being able to reverse engineer what I like about those clients. They don't call after hours. They're pretty easy to deal with. They don't need a lot of work and a lot of changes. They pay their invoices on time. They value my work and my time. And had I not just launched, had I just sat on it, I would have never been able to get the data points that I needed to reverse engineer my dream clients, to niche down into working with the people that I truly, truly love to work with. That's why I'm always pushing, and I push it so hard with the moms that I coach. Just launch. Launch your website today. They're like, it's not perfect. That's all right. No problem. Because you don't have any data. And data is so important. You know, data is important to figuring out which blogs are working. Data is important to figure out if there's some people are landing on your homepage and then they're bouncing. There's something on your homepage that isn't resonating with your dream clients, right? And you can't do any of those things until you just launch.
And I think that's true with everything. You have to just let go of that perfectionism and let go of like, I need to have these 5,000 things in place and I need to have the exact strategy. I need to know exactly what I'm going to do. I need to know exactly who I'm going to work with. I need to have all of these things planned out. And while having some of those pieces is important, you have to be okay with it's probably going to change. So don't
100%.
beat yourself up trying to have everything figured out before you launch a podcast, launch a course, launch a business, because it's going to change. And then you're going to have wasted all of this time figuring out all these things and, creating all these assets for this one particular audience when that might not be what you end up doing. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I have people all the time that are like, I started a podcast 2 years ago, but now I want to talk to a totally different audience. What do? Change it. Just, rebrand, keep going, tell everybody, hey, I kind of changed my mind about this. So we're going to start talking about this stuff instead. If you want to hang out, still cool. If not, then awesome. See you on the other side. Like you're allowed to change things. And I think when you realize that things are going to change, you're allowed to let go of some of that pressure on yourself at the beginning to get everything just right. Because if it's going to change, then why do we need to get it just right in the first place? Because it's not going to be just right.
And I'm of a generation, I'm sort of bridging the gap between Generation X and millennials. I grew up with parents who stayed in their jobs for like 45 years and then retired. And so I think there's a generation, from Gen X to millennials who are like, that's not okay with me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and find something that I really love and I really enjoy that makes me happy, but at the same time pays my bills and supports the life that I want to live. And I didn't find my dream job until I was 40, and that's okay. And doesn't, I want to say to those Gen Xers who might be thinking about doing something, like, do it. Just launch it. You don't have to find your purpose at 25. You don't have to feel like if you didn't find your ideal job at 22 straight out of college that you're a failure. I mean, I've lived an amazing life. I've had fantastic jobs. I've done amazing things, super fun, made great, wonderful friends. And I found my dream job at 40. It took me becoming a mother and losing myself as a mother into motherhood. I lost a lot of my own identity. And it took that for me to come out the other side, finding my dream job, having that wonderful, wonderful purpose of being a mother at the same time helping others and keeping my brain really occupied and constantly learning and growing as a coach, as a web designer, as a human being. It took that. So just launch. There's nothing scary about it. I feel like a lot of people worry about being cringe, right? They worry about, oh, what if my mom hears this podcast? Or what if my great aunt Ida hears this podcast? Or what are they going to think of me?
That's a huge part of being an online business in general is you have to put yourself out there and you have to be
Mhm.
authentically you. And if there's people in your life that don't align with that, then that's okay. That's a them
Right.
problem. You're being yourself. If they don't like who you're being, they can judge you all they want, but it's no reflection on you as a person. And really, you shouldn't waste your time worrying about it. They're not your
Yeah.
people.
I think the first time I got a negative comment on something that I had done or something that I had posted in social media or something, I got a negative comment from this girl. Like she had taken some time to write a comment. And I remember I was getting off a flight where I was working for where I wanted to work on vacation with my family, laptop lifestyling it. And this girl was just mad. I only read like the first couple of lines. I just deleted it and moved it on because I was like, I have made it. I have done something that has caused so much emotion in someone that she is genuinely angry and nothing. And that she's not talking about me. She's talking about something in her own life that is bothering her. But I was like, wow, I've made it. I've put something out into the universe that has caused an emotional reaction. So if I can cause that sort of emotional reaction to that side, there is someone on the other side of the pendulum that will have that positive reaction to what I'm doing and what I'm putting out there. I know I'm being nice and I know I'm being kind and I'm sorry for whoever that girl was. But yeah, just launch, just get it out there. Nothing is permanent. Change up as you need to. My niche has completely changed. Even as a web designer, my niche has completely changed. My abilities have changed. What I do as a coach has changed. And especially with tech, everything is going to change. So you could spend all this time working on a plan and getting it ready and getting ready to launch. And then everything changes. I launched the Gutsy Mama Project January 2020. 3 months later, the world shut down. I had a marketing plan to help moms find jobs and quit their 9 to 5s. Well, all of a sudden, moms didn't have 9 to 5s.
Right?
Moms were working from home, trying to find new jobs from home, trying to take care of their kids, trying to run school, trying to homeschool everyone, trying to keep everyone alive. So I spent 6 months working on a marketing plan that was no longer a marketing plan.
Had to pivot.
I had to pivot. And so I'm glad that I had just launched. I'm glad I just put it out into the universe and then I pivoted. Your marketing plan's going to change. Everything's going to change. So just launch, get some data, get some testimonials, get some reviews, get everything you need to get, and then just launch.
I think when people are like launching their podcast, they get wrapped up in what mic do I need and what software do I need and how do I get guests and who are the guests going to be and who's my audience and all of this stuff. And all those things are important. Like we always do market research before we launch, for people who are established. But we've also found that like we have one client in particular who's been on the podcast and her podcast is like, if you're a mom with a business and if you're just a mom in general, and also if you're a woman going through menopause, or if you are just a human being, like her podcast reaches all of these people and it's created such a cool audience. It's kind of like the exception to the rule. Like the rule is, you want to be niched down and you want to know who you're talking to and what you're trying to tell them. And it's kind of opened my eyes as well to be like, you don't always have to stick into a little pocket of the internet
Sure.
or a little pocket of people's lives. Like you can bring in all of these other pieces that are you. And if people are aligned with you, they're going to listen, they're going to care, and they're going to keep showing up. She was one of those clients when we launched for her. She had her mic. It had been sitting in her house for 2 years and she had never launched her podcast. And so she was actually a guest on one of our other clients' podcasts and sent me a message. And I was like, okay, we are doing this. Like, I'm not giving you an option. Like, we are launching your podcast. Like, there's no reason that you need to wait 2 more years to get this done. We can do it in 4 weeks. and you'll be out there and she's seen like so much great return on like the connections that she's made and, the new clients and building her audience and just meeting all of these really cool people. And she's like, why did I wait so long? And I was like, it felt overwhelming and you were trying to make it perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And you just have
Right.
to do whatever feels right in that moment. Talk about whatever feels right in that moment and go for it. And, things are going to change and you have to be okay with that.
Right. 100%. And it's never going to be perfect. There's never anything that's perfect. There's always going to be a hiccup or a weird thing. I was listening because I'm a book listener. I have very hard time sitting down and reading books. But I was listening to Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule. And I was amazed. I mean, this book the download is millions of copies. And there were so many mistakes in her audiobook reading. And I was like, okay, I can do this, right? She is very obviously like they just recorded it in 5 hours or however long it takes for her to read the book. And then they uploaded it to the internet. And so it didn't detract from the amazing message she was giving. It didn't take away from all of these things that were wonderful about the book. The information she was giving, it didn't detract away from her changing lives and changing her own life. So if she can do that and it's not perfect, so can I.
Yeah, for sure. And we always like when clients are launching, they're like, I sound so stupid. Can you make me sound not dumb? And I'm like, no. Like, it's all in your head. Nobody is
Right.
going to hear that and be like, oh God, like, oh, why does she sound so dumb? Like that's not, people don't think that. Like you're the only one who thinks that. And you need to just let it go. Everybody
Whatever it is
sounds
that you have, it resonates. There's someone who's out there who's resonating, who has been in that exact same place that you're coming from. And that's what I've really found. There's moms out there who just resonate with that feeling.
I think with like when you're, particularly when people are like recording podcasts, because a lot of times you're doing an interview or you're just like on talking about whatever you want to talk about. And so it's so conversational that people end up bringing up things that they didn't think they were going to bring up, or subjects come up and they forget that they're recording a podcast and they're just talking and having a conversation. And then after the fact, they're like, oh, should I have not said that? Like, what if my mom listens to the podcast? What if my husband listens to the podcast or whatever? And I mean, it's part of showing up as who you are. And I mean, obviously, like, don't go on a podcast and talk crap about your family or your husband or, whatever. But it's okay to talk about real life. And it's okay to say, I showed up late to this interview because I was stuck in traffic on my way home from dropping my kids off. Everybody has their own stuff going on. And I feel like the more you show up as the real you and let everybody know, like, hey, my internet was really bad during this interview, or my kid wouldn't let me turn off cartoons so I could use all of the internet. So there might be some glitches. Like, it doesn't all have to be perfect. And as long as you're putting stuff out there and it's of value and it's authentic to who you are, then you're doing the right thing. You're heading in the right direction.
Yeah. And I feel like that realness, it just makes it better for me and more relatable. And especially for podcasts, I find with the mom niche, especially like, because we're just so busy. We have lives. And I think, you get to work with people and understand that they've got lives. I don't have a nanny. I don't have any of these things. I got to pick my kid up from school. And she popped on to a video that I was doing the other day and she had completely painted her face with markers. She popped in the background. She's like, hi. And her face was like pink and blue and purple and green. I was like, what are you? She said, I'm a queen. Great.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are, honey. But I mean, that's life. And that's what it is. That's the beauty of podcasting, is it's bringing other people's lives and things like that into your homes in ways, and truly using storytelling to do that.
And I think that when I listen to a podcast, I feel like I know these people. Like, I feel so connected. I know about their kids. I know about their lives. I know about where they live, where they're moving to, the pivots that they've done in their business, like their whole life story. And I've never talked to them one-on-one before, but that makes me like 100% more likely to invest in them because I feel like you're just like me. Like, you have a husband, you have kids, you have dreams, you have a business, you have, all of these things going on in your life. So you get it. And I think it's really
100%.
important to show people that and not try to make it seem like, oh, I have this perfect life and I have a nanny for 10 hours a day and a cleaning lady. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago where one of the girls was talking about anti-bro marketing with like, don't do like the helicopter and the Lamborghini and all of that, because women don't want that. That's not what feels right to us. That's not what aligns with us. We want to say, oh, I saw your picture of your kid and my daughter has the same pajamas and we are doing soccer right now too. And we want to feel that connection and that sameness between us before we take that leap to invest in somebody. We want to feel like they're like us and like they're going to understand where we're coming from.
100%.
We went on a big tangent there. Which is very typical for our podcast. So, if this is your first episode, no, you're going to get a lot more life advice than you probably will podcast advice. We squeeze the podcast in. But okay, so say somebody is getting ready to launch their podcast, is just thinking about it, hasn't taken that first step. What would be the one like shift that needs to happen, or the one thing that you would say to them to kind of help them move past the thinking and into the doing?
The thing I would say is you have everything you need at your fingertips already to make it happen. If you've got something to say it and just put it out. You already have literally everything you need. You can go online and your podcast can be in 10 different places in the next 15 minutes if you just record it and put it up.
And, everybody wants to have the professional podcast, and that's great. And you can have that, but you don't need to have it right now. If you want to launch your podcast and you don't have the time or the budget to invest in doing things the quote unquote right way with the fancy equipment and having somebody do the editing and all of those pieces, that's fine. Put it out there, get started, because as you get started, your audience is going to grow, which is going to bring you more income, which means that later down the road, you can invest in those things and you can level up your podcast. Just like we've all leveled up our business 1,000 times. You can do that with your podcast. You can do that with a course. You can do that with everything. You just have to take that first messy action step and then grow and level up from there.
Yeah. And I think, I don't remember who it was, but I think what made me launch mine is that I could tell she was like sitting in her car talking into her phone. She had a moment like waiting to pick up her kids where she had a thought, she needed to record it and she needed to put it out into the world. I was like, okay, I can do that.
That's when we do our TikToks. Me and Shannon, my business partner, both, we do pickup line talks. So we, for real, like sitting in the pickup drop-off line at school, we'll record TikToks. The kids are quiet. They're occupied. I have a toddler in the back seat. She's watching the squirrels out the window and I'm waiting in line. And that's when we record our TikToks, because it's a small pocket of time where you're not really doing anything else. What am I going to do? Scroll on Facebook? Like, I don't need to do that. So we take that little pocket of time. It's not perfect. I'm never wearing makeup. Half the time my hair looks a hot mess. Like, you let go of that perfectionism is the overarching theme of this episode. Like, just get out there and do it, and judgment be what it is. Those people's opinions don't matter. Don't focus on it. Focus on you and putting value out.
100%. Absolutely. Awesome. Just get it out there.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. If you just want to share like where people can find you, and if you have anything exciting coming up in your business, we're happy to link that up in the show notes as well.
Sure. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Gutsy Mama Project. That's me. Or if you want more information about the Gutsy Mama Project, if you're a mom who's interested in starting your own Squarespace design business with coaching and community and everything you can need, you can find out more information at beagutsymama.com.
All right. We'll link all that up in the show notes so people can click on it. And thank you so much for coming on today. We hope that this episode was really valuable for all of our listeners. And we hope that you connect with Julie on all of the places. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of All Things Podcasting. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform so that you'll never miss an episode. This podcast is for you, so be sure to reach out and let me know what you thought about it. You can DM me through Facebook or Instagram, where I also share valuable content, or you can find me in our Facebook group. Just search for All Things Podcasting in the search bar. I I can't wait for you to join us next week for the latest episode of All Things Podcasting.